The last section of the configuration management, release management, I think in this chapter is a large chapter. At the beginning, we give an introduction generally about what is configuration management means, and then we discuss version management, system building, and final is the release management. So how to manage change, how to manage versions. By combining versions, we have to create releases, then how to create releases, what we call system building, and finally release management. So this section will concentrate on release management. So what is basically first thing is what is a system release means. So version is a system instance which is circulating around distributed circulating around development teams. So version is the instance of the system which is under development and circulating around the development team. So when the development concludes, you have to distribute the system to the user community. So system release is a version of a software system that is distributed to customers or user community. So release is a version of a software that is distributed to customers or user community. And there can be two types of releases. If you take large market software, mass market software, mean that there is a large user base exists. The user base is high. What you call mass market software. There could be two types of releases: major releases and minor releases. Major releases and minor releases. In major releases, they add new functions. Significantly new enhancement is made and system is delivered. So in a major release, delivers significant new functions are added to the system. That means big improvements are made and system is released. Major releases. A substantial new functionality has been added before being released. In minor releases, usually involves repairing bugs and fixing some customer problems that has been reported. So they are not like big changes, but existing functions. It is observed that there are bugs exist, and sometimes customers made some complaints and to fix their problems. So major and minor. For example, if you have product ABC, Mac operating systems 10.92. If you take this numbering pattern here, the operating system so there will be the 9 is the major release and 2 is the minor release. So 10.9 to indicate so this one is going to be a 9th release के 9th major release के 9th major release second minor release 9.2 9th major release second minor release of operating system version 10. So OS version 10 9th release second minor release 9th major release second minor release. That means before that there is a one minor release what we call 9.1 9.1 so this is going to be the second minor release of 9 second minor release of 9 that's how we can read these numbers. අන්තිමට තියෙන්නේ minor release එක කලින් තියෙන්නේ major release එක now how many distributions here now for OS 10 Mac operating system 10 so you can say that there could be 9 releases of 9 major releases of 10. හැම තියෙන නිසා අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ 10 වල major releases 9ක් දීලා තිනවා. If you follow the sequential numbering 1 2 3 5 6 7 8 9 then of 9 2 minor releases one has already made this is going to be the second one. Usually for the major releases the customers unless it is open source for major releases customers have to pay. For major releases customers have to pay. For minor releases fully distributed free of charge when you make a release, what are the components that should incorporate into a release other than programs? So release should include some other items other than the code. What are these other items? Release එකට ඇතුල් වෙන කොටස් මොනවාද? උපාංග මොනවාද? උපාංග program එකට අමතරව. So major item is the executable code. That's the main item, important one, executable code. In addition, we have to provide a configuration file that defines how release can be configured or prepared to be installed in the custom environment. So configuration files defining how release should be configured in a installation, particular installation. Then data files which contain data. For example, so when error message are coded in data files with other information as well. So error details are captured in the data files. And some other information required to successful system operation. Then installation programs or setup programs. Focusing so when you run the setup, you install the program in that particular hardware environment. And other documents, paper documents, or it could be in electronic form. So at the very beginning, it was in the form of paper documents. Now it's your other means of available, electronic means. So documentation can be provided in electronic form, so paper form. And packaging. And we have to give the relevant publicity for the release. So release include program codes plus configuration file plus data files plus installation file plus documentations and packaging and publicity. So issues in releases. So when you prepare a distribution of a system release for mass market, is with hard work, some expensive process. So there is some technical issues involved, technical issues to be addressed, marketing issues to be addressed. So what are the technical issues? So when a release is made, we have to identify the correct system versions and correct data files. The data files has versions, relevant libraries has been system building. We discuss system release කරනකොට අවශ්‍ය කරන components versions ඕනේ, අවශ්‍ය කරන data files ඕනේ, පාවිච්චි කරන other library files select කරගන්න ඕනේ, compilers, relevant compilers, interpreters, versions, components, versions compile කරන්න බෑවා. So there we need the compilers and interpreters. So this release is made, the latest version that made up of the release has to be compiled or interpret. So those has to be recognized before using all those system can be built. So then technical work involved version identification, relevant data files, relevant library files, relevant compilers and other tools required for the job has to be. Then only you can make the release. So also there are some other works last release made. It has to be advertised, publicity material has to be prepared, marketing materials, advertising materials. Strategy has to be prepared, designed to convince customers to buy the new release. software හැදුවා වගේ නෙමෙයි ඒවා මාකට් කරන්නත් ඉතින් අවශ්‍යතාවය තියෙනවා, right? People has to be convinced what are the benefits you are getting, what are the features available when you use this software, like other items, other products, whatever the product you need for consumers, we have to convince them why they need this, what are the benefits. So on a product I think consumer to market consumer and produce karane is marketing is there. Marketing part play a vital role at the end. Then timing also, gap between the releases, timing gap between the releases is vital because if you made releases too frequent, if you made releases too frequent with short period of time which requires hardware upgrades, if it is especially if hardware upgrades are required for upcoming releases, customer may not definitely move to the new release if it is required to pay for them. Who is willing to buy new hardware if a new release comes? And also at the same time, you have to pay for it. So that kind of thing is not marketable much. Not much marketable. So we have to be careful when actually when the release is made, if hardware has to be changed. So at the same time, releases should be infrequent, as Lehman laws suggest. Should continuously improve, enhance software. Law number 2. Law number 2. To keep customer happy. So Lehman's at the very beginning, early times, identified this. To keep customer happy, customer system should be continuously enhanced. So if the system releases are not infrequent, you might use market share because customer might be moved to other product, alternative product. So we have to be careful regarding the timing gap. not frequency of releases not should be high or not should be low. Release frequency gattot high වෙන්නත් බෑ low වෙන්නත් බෑ. I mean, it's regularly coming very short time period, then customer may not then actually move to the new one, especially if he wants to pay. Then factors that might influence release planning. So preparing distributing a system release for mass market is involves technical works, some marketing work, and the timing has to be kept. Timing gap frequency has to be considered. Not too frequent, not too frequent, not less frequent. Frequency could be moderate. So when I going to make a release, so you are forced to make a new go for a new release. No, forced to go for new out of your software. What kind of factors affecting them? Decide this. So you have to make a decision whether now we should go for the market. So your system is under construction, the versions are under build. At one point of time, you decide to stop and make it available for user community. So what factors will affect this decision? One is the competition. The alternative competitive product has to come to the market. For mass market software here means generic software. Generic software. A new system release may be required because competing product has come to the market with a lot of new features. You might lose your market share if you don't have include these features in your product. Some other product has come to the market with a lot of features. There's a possibility that you lose the market share, market proportion if these features are not available in your product. So competition will. So therefore, you realize now there is another competitive product has come to the market, and we now stop make our product available for the community. So we're talking about mass market software, generic software. This is not a problem for custom software, because custom software is produced for a specific customer or group of customers. So here, those customers has to depend on you. So there's no competition. There's no competition, but you have to address those customer problems. A customer person to not is affecting your reputation, and it's maybe influence indirectly or affecting your future market share. Then marketing requirements. Maybe marketing department has come to agreement with the client customer to make the release available on certain time. The marketing department has come to an agreement with the client to release available at a particular time. That might force make a release. Platform changes, hardware and operating system changes might force to create a new release of the application. So new version of the operating system has arrived, and therefore you need to create a new version of your application available for this new hardware. So in that case, if you make what you call in this technical term is adaptation, adaptive maintenance, corrective maintenance, perfective maintenance, adaptive maintenance, and preventive maintenance. We talked about 4 types of maintenance work. So this is adaptation. Platform changes and technical quality of the software. If serious faults are surfaced, reported, which is hampering, which is disturbing daily business operations. So then definitely you have to have immediate fault repair release. So serious system faults reported affecting daily operations of the business. So fault repair release has to be made. And maybe the minor faults, you don't have to make a release. For minor faults, usually made available as patches, what you call technical term patches, usually can distribute easily over the internet. So what are the factors influence release planning, timing, the competition, marketing requirements, platform changes, and technical quality of the software? Right. So you should be able to explain how release planning is influenced by other factors in the technical and social environment. So competition and marketing are social factors, and platform changes and software quality is technical factors. So release creation. So release item. Release include this item as we discussed in the second slide. Code, program code plus configuration files plus data files, setup files, and etc. During release creation, that is system building, it was the focus of the last section. System building, executable code of the programs, because release consists of hundreds of components. So there are versions there. The component has themselves have versions, and we have to identify the correct version that should be incorporated. Correct data files need to be identified by the version. This is done by the version control system. And how to install this configuration description has to be prepared, written for different hardware and different operating systems. Linux and Windows, for example, there are different how they are going to be executed, installed. Now, his customer is given the responsibility of how to configure it in its environment. If it is a mass market software, generic software, in fact, customers, no one is going to go and install it in your site. The customer is responsible for the installation of the product most of the times. So instructions has to be written for the customers how to configure the system in their computers. And setup files, installation programs has to be written, scripts for installation programs. Scripts for installation program setup programs has to be built. But say script is a program, script is a set of instructions. It's tell another program what to do. So another program will going to interpret these instructions and do something. For example, JavaScript. So scripting like Java, Perl, those are scripting languages interpreted by the web browser. The browser will take action based on those instructions. So strictly the program contains set of instructions which is interpreted by another program. And now the website has to be created. That includes links to the required documents. Is that a tool that you can use for distribution? You can have your release in a CD and distribute it among the user community. The easiest way is the website. You can make available the all required items in the website so they can pay and download. So is when all these components are available and we can build the system, and it's now ready for the distribution either through websites or through their marketing people. So if you take the custom software or custom software, as I said, mentioned, software is developed for one particular customer or group, small number. So sometimes we have product line software. What is product line software? Family software. Like ERP is a product line software. Meaning that so ERP system contains many different types of software modules. Each module, each system address one aspect of the business. So but that bundle together we call ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System, like accounting software and marketing, HR components, marketing components, production, inventory, shipping. So generally business involves all these different activities. So you have to buy raw materials, they have to be placed in the warehouse, and these materials should be sequenced to the production lines. Where you have for the production, we have human resource input, other infrastructure. When you are buying raw materials, there are accounting aspects are there. Then you have to work with your suppliers. Then after production, it has to be warehouse. Then from warehouse to shipping, and then to marketing, and after that accounting. So it's chain of works, right? මේ ඔක්කොම automated නම් that's different business functions are automated and make bundle and available for custom client used. So accounting principles are mostly common. There's no variation among the accounting principles used by different organizations. So those are common modules. But if you take HR active, human resource management activities like welfare and other things, there could be variations from organization to organization. So they need the common modules are there, variable modules could be there. So they have to be customized, suited for the organization. So those are called product line. එතකොට ERP ගත්තොත් එතකොට එකම ERP එකේ common modules තියෙනවා. ඒවා reuse කරන්න පුළුවන්. අනිත් modules, variable modules has to be modified according to their requirements. As I mentioned, example, printer, printer software. HP new printer has made constructed built. So then we need drivers to be written. So drivers should be made available for different operating systems, Linux or Windows or other. So there could be also the common modules and variable modules. That's product line. So custom software or product line software, complexity of the release management process depend on how many customers are there. If one customer is fine. Customer you can make a special release for them. So it depends then therefore how many customers on your hand. Sometime for every customer you need to make release available. So it's possible that individual customers be running several different releases at the same time because they have diverse hardware, different hardware. For example, now you use Windows 9, but there are people using the higher versions of Windows as well, or lower versions, lower release, high release. If the software is a part of a complex system of systems. Now, system is consists of some other systems, subsystems, and the software is operating in this complex environment. Local system a system different systems. So then that software is operating in that environment. Example in the book is they have given example firefighting vehicle. So from time to time, the firefighting vehicle got to everything. New vehicles are coming from time to time. They were the old vehicles, all systems are still used. The new vehicles are coming. So, my lifetime it's like 20, 30 years. You don't throw them every 5 years, right? With the technology enhancement, new vehicles are coming. So we don't need to throw them the old version. They're still usable. Like if you take a ship, alut ships, alut ships, avakila parnimatic ankala darne. So they'll be using for some task. Some ship lifetime worship එකක් ගන්නකො ඒක පාවිච්චි කරලි වෙලා මේ කාලේ ආවන් පස්සේ අයින් කරන්න නැතුව වෙන රටකට දීලා දාන්න කරනවා. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අවුරුදු භාගයක් යූස් කරනවා. එතකොට මේ වගේ සිස්ටම්ස් ගත්තොත් එහෙම so එතකොට දැන් අලුත් systems එනවා partner systems අලුත් vehicles එනවා අලුත් aircraft එනවා අලුත් ships එනවා ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක පරණේ අයින් කරන්න. එතකොට මේ පරණේ වලටත් upgrades දෙන්න ඕනේ. අලුත් ඒවාටත් upgrades ඕනේ software වල. So we have to create new versions to adapt the equipment available in the vehicle. මේ දැන් අවුරුදු 25ක් 30ක විතර ලයිෆ් ස්පෑන් එකක් තියෙන ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එකක් සිස්ටම් එකක් ගත්තොත් එහෙම ඒක පරණ ඒ software තියාගන්න ඕනේ. So you need to have those old software in your hand. Therefore, the company has to manage even sometimes hundreds of different releases of the same software. Something today might be needed after 10 years time. Because the equipment the product that is using this software made available after still after 15 years time. ඒ අවුරුදු 15කට පස්සේ එතකොට customer change එකක් ඉල්ලන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට you should be able to make it available. Made it available. So after 15 years time, they make a request for a change. So then you need the original software to make the change available. So this process is therefore facilitated by the configuration management systems. So it's a database component is there. So database is a part of the configuration management system. So as I said earlier, in that kind of database, we have information like which customer we have made these releases. Those kind of information is stored is there. මේ customerට අපි මේ release එක දීලා දිනවා. So මේ release එක ඇදලා තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ component versions වලින්. මෙන්න මේ documents data files පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙනවා. මෙන්න මේ library files පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙනවා. මෙන්න මේ compiler versions පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙනවා. So ඔක්කොම information is available at the configuration management system. That's why it's very important, this part of the system, CMS release tracking, what we call. The කලින් lesson එකේදී කිව්වා it should be able to produce, in case a problem occurs, should be able to reproduce the software that has been delivered to the customer. So you deliver the software to the customer, then you cannot just get your hand washed away. You cannot take your hand away by just releasing the software to the customer. In case some problems occur, you should be able to recreate it, reproduce. Therefore, it is important when a system is released, it must be documented to ensure that it can be recreated exactly same product in the future. Simple example, you make a custom software product for a specific customer and you release it, and that software will destroy it for some reason. Maybe a disaster or fire. Then the contractor කියන කස්ටමර්ත් එක්ක warranty period, that warranty agreement එක තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම maintenance agreements තියෙනවා. Then you are binded, you are responsible, your commitment is to make it available again. So as I mentioned here, it is very important as for a long life software. For example, here 30 years. Especially for embedded systems, complex machines. So they might use this software for a long time. After 20 years time, they make a request for a specific change. After originally will delivered. So they make a request for a change, upgrade after 20 years. For example, aircraft ගත්තොත් එහෙම the aircraft පාවිච්චි කරනවා. So it's doing regular services, are doing but when the life of components part එකටම life එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ life එක වෙනම replace කරන්න ඕනේ. Because they are safety critical system, sometimes complete maneuver complete system replacement है मतलब technical term में मैंने वो लिखा है so this still happened after a long time. Parts, the old parts, they had to be replaced by new ones. The parts available when known. Commercial aircraft ගන්න ඒ තියෙන එක series තියෙන A320 A330 A340 380 Airbuses so the A320 කියන aircrafts they came like some long years back 20 අවුරුදු 25කට කලින් ආපුවා still news එතකොට ඒ කාලේ ගියන් පස්සේ complete overall එකක් කරන්න ඕනේ overall එකක් කරන්න ඕනේ important time they made some replacement complete overall has to be made making large replacement of wage component so I think partner software should be made available. So this slide explains what I said. When you are documenting a release, you have to record a specific version of the source code components that were used to create the code. This has to be documented. When a release is documented, record the specific version of the source code of the component that was used. You have to record, you have to keep copies of source code files. Copies has to be made available. The copies of component version has to be and corresponding codes of all data and configuration of files has to be archived. And also the operating system versions. That was yeah, those components or run libraries, compilers, and other tools used to build the software. All this has to be stored in archive level. So this has to also documented. මේ රීස් එකට පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙන source code component versions මොනවාද ඒ වගේ data files මොනවාද configuration files පාවිච්චි කරපු operating system versions details compilers all these should be documented and those copies should be made available for the future. So they are required to build the system exactly in the same way in some later time. Therefore, you store the copies of operating system tools source code and data files. In the configuration management system, so that does not mean you have to maintain the hardware. Hardware cannot be keep for a long time. Hardware din kumat updated and hardware තියාගන්න බෑ. Hardware is getting updated and updated. But it OS ගත්තොත් if it is this particular operating system, they can run on virtual machines. So all the operating system can run on virtual machines. For example, Windows XP is running on Windows 7 as a virtual machine. So this is done to maintain the backward compatibility. Planning. So when you are making a release, as we mentioned earlier, you have to include many different types of items, code, program code, configuration files, data files, setup files, installation programs, and different documentation. So when the release is produced, all these things has to be included in that release. So when you are planning an installation for new release, you cannot assume that customer will buy it or install new system release. From time to time, you might make available new release for the user community, but that doesn't mean they will go for it. So, if, for example, Windows operating systems, new releases are coming from time to time. That does not mean all customers are moving to those new ones, unless that is necessary. If customer is happy with the new release, they might stay on it with the current one, not moving to new one. So customer may happy with the existing one, not consider to go for the next one, especially so you have to pay. Therefore, you cannot assume that you cannot rely on the installation of previous release. You cannot depends on the previous installation. You have installed the software in a particular customer site or customers, who you cannot depend on those releases. That means the future releases cannot depend on the older releases. When you are making available new releases available, all required items should be included. That means that all required things has to be there in the new release. For example, let's say now release 1 is made and system is distributed to use. And there is release 2, new set of data files. When you are making release 2, data files has changed. So new set of data files are there in the release 2 compared to release 1. So data files and in release 1 and data files in release 2 is different. So assume that some customers does not go for release 2 and they remains on release 1. But later when release 3 is available, they move from release 1 to release 3. But in release 3, there will be no addition for the data files in release 2. So release 2 la data files ma thamai release 3 ke පාවිච්චි කරේ. The data files in release 2 are also used in release 3. But data files in release 1 and release 3 is then different. Data files in release 1 and release 2 is different. But data files in release 2 and release 3, no difference, same data file. The customer set tag in release 2 again and set tag in. There is a set of customers who did not move to release 2, but they moved to release 3. So therefore, you cannot assume that the customers have release 1, therefore you should not include data files in release 3. Release 1 data files සින්නවා කියලා assume කරන්න බෑ. මොකද release 3 එකට එනකොට data files වෙනස් වෙලා. Therefore, you should make sure that all required items should be included with every release. You cannot rely on the previous releases. Then you should see that there are a lot of problems in release management. So most of the problems in release management can be reduced by using delivering software as a service. That means if you can make available the software in the cloud. So software as a service allows users to connect and use the cloud-based application over the internet. That is, you made release available on the cloud. Email programs, Office 365. You pay and use so pay for a certain time period and use, and time expired you pay again and use so it's simplify the release management process. System installation for customers. No individual installations are required on the customer side. application is available on the cloud. So you can connect to that application over the internet and you use it and pay for them. So pay and use the so it's a service, software service. So cloud provides software services. Usually, when it comes to service, it's services for many people, for the public. Many transport service, that's not individual. Focus is around a target large customer base. One place, many people. Whereas vehicle like the individual vehicles are for individuals. Public transport service is for the public, where many people can use this service. So cloud services provide provision where the developer replaced the existing release with a new release and made it available for customer that they can use at the same time. Maybe if it is software, different releases are there. You made available these releases, all releases on the cloud. අලුත්යක් ආවත් ඒකත් available on the cloud. පරණේවත් තියෙනවා අලුත් ඒවාත් තියෙනවා. As per customer needs, they will choose what they want after paying. So this in this section, so key points, some important points are highlighted. At the end, I'm not going to go for it. So that concludes this configuration management chapter. It's a biggest chapter we went through more change management, version management, release management, and system building. Can you try question 4 here? Let me get questions on my exam. Well, I put in the letter. Question 4 here. So question A, what is configuration management means the process of managing process of managing, making changes, versions. We have to manage changes, versions, change management, version management, release management, releases, and system builds. The software system. So, for important things here, making change, manage changes, versions and releases, and system builds. Why it is needed to make this process much more efficient? Why it is needed to do change management process, manage this process much more efficient way. Efficiently also we need to add better if with minimum cost. High traceability means we need to keep track of changes. The statement I thought we can explain it in detail, but roughly it's brief answers is sufficient, right? Two versions. So why it is needed to efficiently handle this CM process with high traceability at a minimum cost. Software की नवा change Then what is the software release and version? Software release system instance release. So, part C, release managers are busy with regarding next release for their product. Release managers are busy with it depends on the company size. Is large company or software development company, large company or small scale company. They might run small scale business or large scale software development. If it is large scale software development for release, maybe a lot of customers are there, a lot of products are going out. In that case, a lot of customer base, a lot of products are going out. So therefore, lots of work regarding releases. So in that case, number of systems to be released, handle, coordinate and manage, and you have large customer base, then we need specific responsible people for that. So we can call the release managers. If a small scale company which specialize in certain product, one product, everything can be done by one person. It depends on the business you do. So for release management process, we can allocate one management purpose. A person is called release manager. And usually the control management process is handled by the project manager. Project manager So he's taking the overall charge of this version controlling, change management, so on. And system build is a particular technical task. It's a technical task. A lot of technical work is involving. Release management is particularly some kind of marketing aspects are involved in there. Technical person කෙනෙක් වෙන්න ඕනේ release manager කියලා කිව්වා. So simply they are the management team for this process, include project managers, release managers, and so on. Management team එකකුත් ඉන්න ඕනේ මෙතන. Some need technical skills, some does not require technical skills much. It depends on how large is the company. We say particular release managers are busy with regarding next release of the product. Give 3 reasons why should we influence the addition as we discussed today. One is product quality. As we said, serious faults has encountered. Serious faults are encountered, so you need to repair it. So that disturb the business operations. So early release is required. That influence quick release. Competitors so this is I think 2016 paper. If you take 2007 paper, you can see now some of the questions are repeated there. I'm asking what is meant by confusion management. So this is also in 2016, and also it's identify difference between version and release. A question repeated. In addition, we have other questions which you cannot find it there, right? From here and there, from year to year, there could be changes in the questions post an exam. That's typical way of how to handle questions, exam questions. In addition, I make a current and CM make a then what difference between version and release? What is a baseline system? Baseline system. It's a version of the system. Baseline version of the system. Version of the system. Approved for quality, accepted for quality. Hi, QM team. सामान्य बेसलाइन सिस्टम में आप तमाई रिलीज करने हैं, right? Get for release. The version of the system accepted the quality for by QM team for release. Should be QA team.